The topic is the Mega Backdoor Roth strategy. So you clicked on the video. I know you know that's what the video is about. You might be wondering whether or not this applies to you. You might be sitting there going, I don't know what that means, therefore it probably doesn't apply to me. Hang in there. I'm going to help you out, and we'll kind of do a filter test to see if it does or does not apply to you. So the Mega Backdoor Roth generally falls under this broader question of where should I be saving? So if I have income coming in and I have the ability to save, what are the best account types in which to save? So if that question is of interest to you, hang in with me because Mega Backdoor Roth might apply to you. Furthermore, this strategy typically applies to people who, for lack of a better term, they're generally squared away financially otherwise, meaning they have their emergency fund set up and funded. They're already contributing to their 401k or other, brokerage accounts. They're generally debts paid off. They're in a good spot. And really the problem that they have now is they just have all of this income coming in and they want to know the best place to put it. So if that's you, certainly lean in. You're a good candidate here. The last test that we'll do to see if it does apply to you is you got to check with your 401k plan provider to see if it's even available. So you call them up and you go, hey, I'm interested in doing the Mega Backdoor Roth strategy. And you want to know, do they allow that? So before I define what even the Mega Backdoor Roth strategy is, let me just say it's a fantastic saving strategy if it applies to you and you're eligible to do it. I mean, at point blank, that's why people are interested in it. It can get a little bit technical. So we actually have a decision tree that we're going to share with you as a resource to help you with this. But the reason why people kind of go past that technicality and actually look into it is because it's a great way to save any excess savings that you have. So what is the Mega Backdoor Roth? Let's start with some basics here. In your 401k plan, you've got traditional contributions that you put in, having not paid tax on those yet. You've got Roth 401k contributions, which you do go ahead and pay tax, and then you contribute in there, and then it grows tax deferred from there. There is actually a third bucket, my friends, and not a lot of people are aware of it. And in fact, not a lot of plans allow it, right? So that's another kind of eligibility sticking point. But this is the after-tax bucket. Some plans call it by different names. Some plans will call it the voluntary after tax. Some plans will call it the post-tax non-Roth, but it's kind of a hybrid of a couple of different things. The way it works is you get paid, you go ahead and pay tax on that, and then you contribute to that after-tax bucket. Now, your contributions have already had tax paid on them, right? But the gains on those, at some point at a future date, you're going to have to pay tax on, kind of like a traditional contribution. So it's kind of this hybrid of, while it's in that after-tax bucket, it grows tax deferred, but the gains technically have not been taxed yet, and they will have to be taxed. Why would someone be interested in doing this? Again, view this in the context of someone who's generally squared away and they just have a lot of extra income. They want to put it somewhere, right? Well, this represents another tax advantaged bucket that they can contribute to. So let's say they're already maxing out the $23,500 here in 2025. That's the maximum, right? Of either the traditional or the Roth. And they still want to save even more than that. Well, then they can turn over and add to that after-tax bucket. And that growth on there will grow, tax deferred. And what is more is that the actual contribution limit to that bucket is pretty high, right? So you have a lot of people who just aren't aware on this. They don't even know that third bucket necessarily exists. And number two, they're not even aware how much money they actually could put into that bucket if it is available to them in their plan. So as I mentioned, $23,500, that's the max that you can split in any combination between traditional and Roth. And then of course you're going to get your matching from your employer. Hopefully your employer has a good match. Well, the combined total of your contributions to those two buckets and match and any after tax, all of those can total up to $70,000 for 2025. So that's a lot, right? So $23,500 plus whatever your employer matches, and then whatever buffer you have between that sum and $70,000, you can put that much into the after-tax bucket. So I guess suffice to say is it's another tax advantage vehicle, and you can put a ton of money in there. Again, this is in the context of someone who just has excess cash flow. They just need to know where to put it. Okay, so at this point in the game, this is where this actual Mega Backdoor Roth comes into play. So you're contributing to this after-tax bucket. What people will do is they'll contribute to that bucket, and then periodically they will go in and they will convert that account to Roth. Some plans allow you to convert, they call it in-plan conversions, where you convert that after-tax, the third bucket, to the Roth bucket within the same plan. Other plans will allow you to actually convert it out, right? So to roll it out, you could do an in-service distribution just of the after-tax bucket into a Roth IRA. And so essentially what this is doing, it's a multi-step process, but there's this tax advantaged account. You can put a lot of money in it. And then what you can do periodically is go in there and sweep all of that money just into a Roth account, be it within your Roth 401k or in your Roth IRA. So it's essentially a way to put a ton of money in a Roth. I mean, we love Roth, right? I always tell clients, if I could wave a wand magically and move all my clients' funds into a Roth, I'd do it. The trouble is in the real world, a lot of times that triggers a bunch of tax. Well, this is this great opportunity if you check all the eligibility boxes to get a ton of money in this account and then subsequently move it into Roth. Okay, so if I have your attention and you're thinking, you know what, I think this makes a lot of sense. Let's cover some kind of a checklist here to make sure that this is something that you should pursue, right? So part of this is review, but just to kind of cover our bases are here. So if you are already maxing your 401k, be it traditional or Roth, that means you could be a candidate to do the backdoor. If your plan allows after-tax contributions, you're a candidate for the Mega Backdoor. You just got to call them and ask, am I allowed to make after-tax non-Roth contributions? If that's a yes, then you want to ask them, am I allowed to move funds from that after-tax bucket to the Roth bucket within the plan? That would be the in-plan conversion amount. If they say yes, great, you're a candidate. Even if they say no, you then can ask, well, if in that case, am I allowed to periodically request an in-service distribution just of the after-tax bucket out to a Roth IRA? And hopefully they say yes, because you could do that option. Some plans, they don't keep their accounting separate of the different buckets, and so they won't allow you to do it. So you just got to call them and ask, can I do after-tax contributions? If so, can I convert to the Roth within the plan? If not, can I convert out to a Roth IRA? The other thing is you want to make sure there is space up to that $70,000, right? If you're able to make that after-tax contribution, but your employer's match or profit sharing or anything like that already gets you that $70,000, well, there's no room, right? So you want to make sure you have room up to that $70,000 all-in contribution space. A few years ago, I was working with a client and we were looking at this strategy because he was making an aggressive play at early retirement. And he had a ton of income coming in, very frugal guy, and he was wanting to just save cash in the most tax-efficient space. And the thing what he was running across was, well, if I do that, if I just put it all in 401k or IRA, well, I can't get to it until 59 and a half. Well, what he did is of course, he was maxing his 401k, right? The 23,500 is this year's equivalent, right? He was doing that. He opted to go ahead and do the after-tax bucket, and then he would convert out to his Roth IRA periodically. Because keep in mind, any contributions to Roth are accessible. No tax, no penalty, even pre-59 and a half. You've already paid tax on those funds. So this after-tax Mega Backdoor Roth strategy also could fit into a early retirement plan in that you can still access those contributions pre-59 and a half. Another thing you might want to think through is like, even if your plan does not allow in-plan conversions, they do not allow the in-service distribution of the after-tax out to Roth. You might be thinking, I guess that ship has sailed. I can't do the Mega Backdoor. You still might want to make those contributions to the after-tax, because here's what's happened. If you leave that employer, whether to go to a different employer or to retire, what you can do is when you do a rollover of that plan, say to the IRA side of the house, what happens to that after-tax bucket is the portion that you contributed, remember you've already paid tax on that, that portion can go to your Roth IRA. You already paid tax. Remember I mentioned you do have to pay tax on the earnings on those contributions. What you can do is you can split that piece off and go to your traditional IRA. So it's still a great strategy. It's still a tax advantaged account. And at the end of the day, you can wind up putting those in the same buckets, Roth and traditional anyway. And so it's still a great strategy, even if you can't do the Mega Backdoor piece on an ongoing basis. Another client situation, get an email from a client, a high earner, great saver. Hey, Seth, my plan just announced that they're going to start allowing these after-tax contributions. Should I do it? Well, what they're doing already is they're making substantial contributions to their brokerage account. So max and 401k, all squared away, emergency fund, HSA, all that, and just adding cash to the brokerage account that we're investing. And I go, stop everything. Yes. Yes, it's a great deal, because the point is if you're going to save that to your brokerage account, that's good. You're going to invest it and get some earnings. If you could do that over here and not have to worry about the taxes year in and year out on those earnings, that's great. Do that. So it's a great benefit for those high earners who are just looking to save more. Don't say I didn't warn you. This topic is technical, okay? But as I mentioned, we do have that resource for you. We're going to put in a link here in the description that you can access. It's a full decision tree that you can walk through yourself to determine if you are a good candidate to do the Mega Backdoor Roth. And as always, we are here to support. There will be another link in the description where you can reach out and schedule a complimentary consultation. And we'd be happy to help talk you through this particular strategy and see how and whether it fits into your overall financial plan. Here's my advice. Highly technical topic. I advise that you consult with someone who knows what they're doing on this. So when you get in there and you're working on something like this with so many different moving pieces, there is a high probability if you try to DIY it that you could blunder in a way that you didn't even know was possible. All right. So it's that whole adage of like, you don't know what you don't know. I've unfortunately had people come to us after having attempted something like this. Maybe something goes wrong with the rollover and they did something and triggered a tax event. Maybe they didn't properly inform the representative at the 401k plan what they were trying to do, and through a misunderstanding, something went awry. Folks like myself, CFPs, we do this. Like, we do this for a living, and so we know the ins and outs, the questions to ask, the things to listen for. So if you're going to attempt something like this, certainly educate yourself by watching videos like this, but also I would say it would behoove you to consult a professional.